And we're back, and we're going to take a break from, I guess, horror to focus on Dune 2021, released today on HBO Max, but also in theaters. This is the eagerly anticipated movie by Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
However you say it. No, that's not nice. I think it's Villeneuve.
Okay.
It came out today, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 35 minutes. And I will go around the table and get impressions. Oh, based on the Frank Herbert novel from 69, I believe, or 68.
Yeah.
It's an old book.
This was absolutely awful.
Why do you say that, Olive J?
Why didn't
Back it
you
up.
like it?
It took too long. Nothing was interesting. People were dying. It was just boring. Boring garbage.
But you love when people die in movies.
The script was just trash, and it was nothing like the last few minutes of what I saw of the other Dune, the old one.
Well, this is only part one.
This is only part one.
So if you're basing this off of the old David Lynch movie, this film ends when he meets the girl for the first time.
Right. Chani.
The girl he's been dreaming about throughout the entire movie with all his little visions.
What did you think, Jay?
I watched the beginning of this movie, and I tuned back in for a bunch of parts. I tuned in for a bunch of parts after I'm gonna say the halfway mark, but during the time where I was focusing on it, I started sleeping because it wasn't boring. I'm just really tired. I went to bed super late these past 2 nights, and but from what I saw, the movie was really pretty, but it just took way too long.
Okay, fair enough. That's unlike it was terrible. There was actually some rationale over here about why she didn't enjoy the film. What did you think?
I also thought it was very pretty. Very pretty.
Very pretty awful.
Oh, stop. It was okay. This is definitely like hard sci-fi. What was it we were an hour and a half in, and nothing. It was basically just world building up to that point.
Right.
So in order to, and it makes sense given the source material, but yeah, you really need to build up that world
a lot first,
and get through a lot of exposition, introduce a ton of
Pick
characters.
a plot point.
Introduce a ton of characters, introduce a ton of plot points, and I think a lot, I would probably say they could have sped some of it up, but there was a lot of oh my God, this is so beautiful, this is so majestic. See, I am not even kidding when I'm saying that they could have saved about a half an hour of film time by just reducing or eliminating some of the scenes where ships are landing in slow motion. And by that hour and a half point, there were at least 6 or 7 scenes where people were watching ships land majestically in slow motion through various atmospheres with people standing around watching the ships. And that could have they could have tightened that up a wee bit.
That was really lazy.
It was beautiful. I mean, honestly, it was gorgeous, sci-fi.
Yes.
But it pick up the pace. And honestly, this is sort of the same complaint I had about Blade Runner 2049.
A movie that put me to sleep.
You could say that about a lot of movies, though.
I could say that about a lot of movies, but I really, really wanted to like that movie only because I really like Denis. I love Sicario. I thought Arrival was great. What's another one of his that I really love? We haven't seen Prisoners, the one with Hugh Jackman and the other guy, whatever it is, Jake Gyllenhaal, was it? I feel like there's something else of his that we've seen that I can't remember that I enjoyed, but Sicario really, it was up to this point, was my favorite. This movie is gorgeous. Obviously not like the Lynchian movie from the 80s. However, and you and I have had this conversation, I 100% agree with you. Because of the source material's vastness and meatiness, this would work way better as a miniseries.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because of all the reasons that you cited in your, I guess, critique of the film, all of that world building could have happened on a week-by-week basis. I think, especially for audiences today, the pacing on this is, I mean, unless you're a diehard Herbert fan,
yeah,
it's going to be really hard. I mean,
it's
my
glacial.
kids, yeah,
you know, it's seriously. I'm not even. It was. I think it was like an hour and 20 some odd minutes we were into the movie.
Yeah, and somebody had to go to the bathroom or something.
And yeah,
we
stopped, and I was just like thinking about it, and I'm like, there's a lot of intrigues going on, a lot of story, but there isn't much as far as hooks. Like I think we spoke about this before. When you watch a film nowadays, they try and grab you in the first 10 minutes with something, and then they go into the whole world building and whatnot. This one, it's just a bit of exposition about why the Harkonnen or Harkonnen. I'm going to use the old pronunciation, Harkonnen.
Yeah.
About why they left, why the Atreides are being given stewardship over Arrakis, the sort of begrudging acceptance of that stewardship. They spend a lot of time on Caladan. And I mean, a lot of time emphasizing, oh yeah, Paul's having dreams. He's having a lot of dreams about this girl. About girls. He's girl crazy. He's Mickey Rooney.
What is wrong with him? Like maybe 30% of the movie was him flashbacking on usually the girl or something else.
It's because he's the chosen one. You know.
The chosen one
pretty
gives him.
lazy. It should have happened at least 1 or 3 times.
I don't think
it's
it's
6,000.
I don't think it's lazy. However, you know what? We should have done a compare and contrast, the old one and the new one. I am going to out myself and say that I love the pants off the Lynch version. If it's playing at 2:00 in the morning and I have to go to work the next day, I will sit and watch it to the bitter end because it is my guilty pleasure. There are so many crazy choices in that Lynchian movie, and I co-sign on all of them. I know that David Lynch has a problem accepting it in his filmography, but if I had made that movie, I would be crowing about it ad nauseum.
There's a lot of
love that movie. Yeah. And I think that, listen, first of all, the source subject is a hard sell because you have a very niche audience. You have pretty much sci-fi nerds, right, that love Herbert's book. I mean, sometimes I think young men, I think you yourself read that book, right, as a young man?
I've never read it.
Oh, you never read it?
No. I've never read it. My only experience is the David Lynch movie. And I also liked the David Lynch movie, not in a this is the greatest film ever sort of way, but in a sort of I can't believe this train wreck exists and it's so much fun. There are so many silly, stupid things. People whisper. Everything is whispered. All exposition with Spaihts.
Yes.
The sleeper has awakened.
No, he screams that.
He screams that at the end, but I think they say it at various points through the movie. After the Baron, who's just deranged. I mean, I know people were like, "Oh, he did a terrible version of the Baron." I
love the Baron.
I thought he was. I mean, I'm not obviously, I never read the book. I just said that. So I wasn't, upset by that portrayal. I thought it was hilarious. I don't think they were trying to make it hilarious, but I found it hilarious. I find a lot of David Lynch's stuff hilarious. It's weird, twisted hilarity. Yeah. And his Dune is just shockingly ugly. It's shockingly ugly. People are literally wearing costumes made out of morgue bags.
Oh my god.
They're burning
Well,
tires
oh my God.
and
Patrick
people are
Stewart
running
was
through
talking about. Did they almost pass
People
out?
are running
They all-
through what?
burning tires.
Burning
Like they
tires, 'cause
wanted.
he wanted a certain
David
effect.
Lynch was like, "I want the sky to look black with smoke. What can we do to do that?" And they're like, "Let's burn some tires.
Oh my
Is that safe for the actors?
Who cares?
Who cares?" Oh, and all the actors, you're going to be wearing rubber suits in this desert
So heat.
while tires are burning around you.
Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart still sold the hell out of it, you know.
Love it. Love it.
And the pièce de résistance, that little kid dancing at the end with the knife.
After she stabs our
Oh
coat.
God, chef's kiss right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I don't love it because it's a masterpiece of cinema. I love it because it's just so bad and crazy and ridiculous.
Well, I think
This
it's one
is
of those
different.
it's so bad it's good type of
Oh my
movies
God,
for sure.
absolutely
That's
falls into that
I completely co-sign on your hypothesis.
This
of
is
that movie.
different. This is they really wanted to honor the book and honor the story of the book and give it like the treatment that it really, you know, I guess deserved for a book that's held in such high esteem by so many sci-fi fanatics. And I think, like I said, it's beautiful. It tells the story. I just think that for I'm going to just say a modern audience whose patience has been destroyed by
Everything.
television, the internet,
social media. You have to pick up the pace in films like this. You have to be really economical with what you're showing. And I mean, kudos to the studio for giving Denis the leeway to really, you know, Flesh out the story.
flesh out his vision.
Yeah.
But seriously, man, okay, the spaceship looks great landing. I don't need to see it for almost a full minute. You know, especially multiple different times. Oh, look, now a spaceship's taking off. Ooh, it's coming out from under the water. Ooh, this spaceship's round and it has funny legs. Oh, look at the ramp go down real slow. It reminds me of when I saw that for like the third time. It reminded me of the Rick and Morty episode where Rick's just like, you lowered the ramp too quickly. You know, nothing gets these guys more excited than seeing a slow ramp.
But he doesn't say excited.
No, he doesn't.
So, okay, I'm going to bring up something that you brought up before. Should this have been one movie, first of all?
I don't think it can be one movie.
I don't think it can be one
even
movie
even
either.
if he tweaked it and whatever. If he removed some of the extraneous stuff, the extra long slow motion, it's still
going to be a long
it's still
film.
going to be you're still going to need more
So
than one
should
film
he
to tell
have
the
done?
story.
So this movie itself was 2 hours and 35 minutes. Should he have done like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, done a complete 4-hour film of the whole property, and condense it within a 4-hour time frame?
You know, maybe squeezing it, like putting it into 4 hours would have been possible. Like I said, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of things that go on in this movie that weren't in the David Lynch
original-
movie.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and you could see David Lynch obviously was
Picking and
choosing, condensing things. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole sequence that doesn't exist in the David Lynch movie. I don't even remember when the hell Duncan Idaho gets killed in the David Lynch movie.
He
He was like such a minor character. In this one, he's definitely more fleshed out. He's the most likable character in the whole damn movie.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of screen time in the first part.
Gets
Of
a
it.
lot
Wait,
of
so you hate him more than the? I mean, you like him more than the main character?
Yeah.
Yeah, I Duncan Idaho. I like more than the main character, but the main character isn't supposed to be, you know, this like charming guy. He's basically this young man who's pretty
Finding
much
his way.
haunted by visions, and he's got like this sort of like destiny thrown upon him from two different sources. He's the head of the heir to the House Atreides, and he's also
The
this
Quizat.
possible messiah
Yeah.
of this entire universe.
Yeah.
That's been like thousands of years of breeding have been leading to this one kid who desperately needs a
To eat
sandwich.
a sandwich. Yeah.
He
Timothée
also needs a
Chalamet is
psychiatrist.
I don't know about a psychiatrist,
insane.
but this child has an open invitation to our dinner table. We lay down some greasy eats here, so
Yeah, go eat some Popeyes.
And we don't
Seriously.
exercise at all.
and we don't exercise at all. Exactly, we are true Americans.
Gross.
So
Yeehaw.
I didn't hate this movie.
I didn't. Oh, I don't
hate
want
this movie. No,
I
wait.
didn't hate it. No.
But I agree with everything you said. I think that for newer audiences, this might be kind of a hard sell. I think if you're nostalgia like us, maybe you'll really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it, but me personally, as a lover of stories and movies and stuff, I didn't have a problem with this movie, but looking at it objectively, I can see certain flaws in it. Not so much in the production of the film. The costuming is phenomenal. The set pieces are incredible. The effects and the practical blend really nicely. All the actors are great.
Yeah.
All the actors are great, with a big shout out, I agree with you, to Jason Momoa for bringing that character and really being the heart here, right? But I feel like it is a lot to ask of certain people to, I guess, sit through this. So I think this is only going to play for a certain audience.
Yeah.
I think this is only going to play for a certain
if you're
audience.
a hardcore enthusiast for this property, you're probably going to love all the minutiae, all the details, all the world building. You're going to be more forgiving of it than somebody who, I admire the concepts of it all. It seems like I love intricate, detailed sci-fi worlds, but you got to sprinkle some stuff in there to keep me hooked.
Yeah.
Especially if you're gonna dedicate an hour and a half to just the world building. I don't know how you manipulate it or work it in there, but I'm not saying I need people's heads exploding left and right and
although we're all about that as well.
It would be
misplaced
nice to see
action
that.
scenes, but you have to give me something more, even if it means just really excellent exchanges of dialogue. There were some lovely exchanges of dialogue,
but not enough to
poignant moments between father and son, which were nice, but come on, a lot of it was seriously just exposition, just exposition dump after exposition dump.
I you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that the scene with Paul and his father, I guess, at the grave of the grandfather before they're getting ready to move to Arrakis. I thought that was really, really lovely. And that you don't see that in the first one, or the Lynch version. I shouldn't say first one because this is obviously its own thing, but you don't see that. In the Lynch one, you don't see this constant dreaming about Chani, which I don't want to say I found it distracting, but kind of, because it was like, I'm assuming this was an important part of the story. Like, I read the book many, many years ago to the point where it would all be Greek to me at this point. I don't remember much about it. But I agree with you. It felt like a lot of this could be tightened up. But I think that as a filmmaker, Denis made certain decisions. And it's hard. Again, you're working with an existing property that's revered
and dense.
And it's very hard sometimes to parlay that into a different medium. In the book, obviously, you have the leisure of world building and creating the story, whereas in movies, you kind of have to get to the meat and potatoes of it super quick.
Yeah.
Again, I don't dislike this movie. I personally enjoyed it, but it was tough watching it with young people whose attention span, like you said, if you don't get them in the first 10, 15 minutes, that's it. You're done. And I think that's exactly what happened with my kids. So that sort of brought it down, or at least brought down my enjoyment of it. But all in all, I think it's a great film. I think it's a feast for the eyes. Absolutely. The script, I don't think they could have done anything better with it. I think editing wise, yes, I agree with you. There was some stuff that could have been tightened, could have been reined in. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this a 7.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 7.
G?
6.5.
6.5?
5.
5, right in the middle. All right.
Better than I expected.
Yeah, I thought she was going to say like 3 or 4, but okay, I'll take your 5. So, thank you to HBO Max for releasing this for the general audiences that are still at home because of COVID, and shout out to all the people out there that actually go to the theater and support the arts. Kudos to you. My hat's off and much respect. If you haven't seen it and are a big fan of the Herbert novel, we highly recommend Dune. If you are a fan of any of these actors, and there is a plethora of really great actors in here, go check it out. Or if you want something new to watch and you have 2 hours and 35 minutes, get on up in that and check out Dune.
Make sure you took a nap beforehand though. Be refreshed when you watch it, because like I said, it's an hour and a half of world building to get through.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the world building, but again,
I don't either.
objectively,
I don't either. I just think
seeing it through the eyes of some other
person. It could have been done a little bit more economically.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I think, not to get off topic here, you and I had this conversation earlier. I will always love the Lynch version of Dune. Always. Till my dying breath. And I think it's, again, because of the source material, it's very, very hard to take something that's so beloved and dense, like you said, and create a completely different format of it in a different medium. So Lynch obviously had to make a lot of choices, because even that movie's kind of long for like 1980, whatever it was.
Yeah, and then they
and then
released
Channel 11 put like the 3-hour version of it
Channel 11
on,
added like an hour to it,
which was nothing, right?
It was basically just them running through the desert screaming "Muad'Dib" and blowing people up. Just
What?
Yeah.
If they ever make part 2, I'm sure there'll be a couple of.
I'm sure they've made part 2 already.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
I can't imagine
I think it would be a terrible thing if they were basically going to wait for the box office on this thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like they've already made it, because why would you spend the money to make this and not make the whole complete thing?
I don't know.
And you would lose some sort of continuity too, because you want your actors to look the same. You don't want them to age like 5 years before you. I mean, that was the great thing about those Lord of the Ring movies, right?
When it comes out, Timothy Chalamet could weigh like 400 pounds.
I doubt that's a thing, but who knows?
He
I could be wrong.
just goes on like a McDonald's bender and is just like,
but again,
I'm tired of being skinny.
You never know. I mean,
I want to eat hamburgers for breakfast every day.
No,
that is like the best way to get diabetes.
Lard burgers.
Yeah, but that was like the beauty of those Lord of the Ring movies, right? Peter Jackson just filmed them all together.
Like
those actors, you're moving to New Zealand, deal with it.
That's it.
And that's it. But that was such a treat, and it's funny because I had this conversation with you earlier about how I wish for Dune Part 2, obviously, that it's released fairly quickly, because I feel like so much stuff happens, especially in the world that we're living now, that I don't want this film to lose its momentum or interest. I think there was a lot of build-up to this. I think the trailers were gorgeous. Just the stills of this movie. Some of the stills in this movie are like freaking phenomenal, right? When that mother superior lady comes to visit Jessica and Paul.
Yeah, the tail end of her slow motion landing.
Yes.
Is very pretty.
Yes. Or even them just onboarding.
Marching.
Marching into wherever the hell they're going.
Walking down the ramp.
So that's, like stuff like that absolutely could have been cut out. Although it looked nice. It looked nice. But they could have saved it for like the coffee table book, Yeah. But now you got me saying, I think that it's hard to do something like this. So again, my hat's off to the director for taking on such a monumental piece of art and converting it into a movie, which is easier to feed to the masses, right? Because not a lot of people read anymore. So I feel like reading books is a dying art form, although you would never know because Kid 2 is a voracious reader. I mean, Kid 1. But I just hope that people give this a chance. And I think...
I hope they do too.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think it's a good piece. I think it's a good interpretation of the source material. You can feel the love for the project in every frame, in every word, in the actors themselves, and in the whole world building. So I think at the end of the day, just give it a chance. And that is it from us. And we will come back and round out October with a more scarier feature. And that's it from us. And we bid you all a good night.
Good night.
Night.